Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and realizing it was your last day on Earth. Now imagine you never knew it was coming. On August 23rd, 79 AD, 40,000 people went about their ordinary lives in the shadow of Mount Vesuvius. They baked bread that would never cool. They made plans that would never unfold. They kissed loved ones goodbye, not knowing it was forever. In less than 24 hours, an entire civilization would vanish in a matter of minutes, preserved forever in volcanic ash, their final moments frozen in time, waiting 2,000 years to tell us their story. But what archaeologists discovered when they uncovered this lost city would challenge everything we thought we knew about how people faced their final moments. What they found wasn't just death. It was life, captured in its most raw and honest form. And hidden among the ruins, they would uncover secrets that reveal the most profound truths about what it means to be human. This is that story. The story of Pompeii's last perfect day, when life felt eternal and tomorrow seemed certain. Stay with us as we uncover not just how they lived, but how they loved, how they hoped, and how their final hours reveal something extraordinary about the courage that lives within us all. Close your eyes and let the warmth of ancient sunlight touch your face. Feel the Mediterranean breeze carry you across centuries, beyond the noise of our modern world, to a place where time moves differently. Here, beneath the shadow of a sleeping giant, lies a city that breathes with life, unaware that tomorrow will never come. It is August the 23rd, in the year 79 of our common era. The morning sun rises over the Bay of Naples, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose. Vesuvius stands sentinel in the distance, its slopes draped in vineyards and olive groves, peaceful as a sleeping giant. The mountain has always been there, as constant as the tides, as familiar as an old friend. No one remembers when it last stirred. No one thinks to wonder if it dreams. But here's what the people of Pompeii didn't know, what they couldn't have known. Vesuvius hadn't erupted in over 800 years. To them, it wasn't a volcano at all, but simply a mountain blessed by the gods. Its slopes, enriched by ancient volcanic soil, produced the finest wines in the Roman Empire. The Romans called this region Campania Felix, the happy land. The very ash that would destroy them had, for centuries, made their lives abundant. In the streets of Pompeii, the day begins as it always has. Sandaled feet move across worn stones, still cool from a night. These stones tell their own story, polished smooth by millions of footsteps, grooved by countless chariot wheels. Some still bear the marks carved by children playing games we can't decipher. The air carries the scent of salt from the harbor, mixed with the earthy smell of dew on terracotta roofs. Somewhere, a rooster crows. Somewhere, a dog barks. The city awakens slowly, stretching like a contented cat in the early light. Yet beneath this tranquil surface lies a complexity that would astound us. This isn't just any Roman city. Pompeii is a melting pot of the ancient world. Greek merchants hawked their wares beside Egyptian traders. Celtic slaves work alongside Germanic freedmen. The graffiti on the walls, preserved for us to read today, reveals a society as diverse and vibrant as any modern metropolis. Successus loves Iris is scratched into one wall. Romula hung out here with Staphylos, reads another. Even 2,000 years ago, people wanted to leave their mark to say, I was here. But there's something else the residents don't realize. This morning, as they begin their daily routines, seismic activity deep beneath the earth has been building for days. The mountain's roots, extending miles into the earth's core, have been restless. What happens next will depend on forces so powerful, so primordial, that they dwarf human understanding. Yet the people of Pompeii wake up thinking about entirely different concerns: money, love, family, dreams. The universal preoccupations that make them not so different from us. And that's what makes what's coming so heartbreaking. Because in just 18 hours, everything they care about will be gone forever. Listen now to the symphony of an ordinary morning, but know that every sound you're hearing is about to become extinct. In the bakeries, ovens crackle with fresh fires, and the aroma of bread rises like incense through narrow windows. The bakers, their arms dusted with flour, knead tomorrow's loaves, though tomorrow will never taste them. Their hands work with practiced rhythm, the same motions their fathers taught them, passed down through generations like prayers. But here's a detail that will send chills down your spine. When archaeologists uncovered these bakeries 2,000 years later, they found the bread still in the ovens. Loaves that were minutes away from being finished when the mountain erupted. Charred black but perfectly preserved, bearing the stamps of the bakers who made them. We even know some of their names from the stamps. Modestus, Quintus Granius Verus. Men who woke up that morning thinking they were baking for just another day. Children's voices echo through the courtyards, bright as silver bells. They chase each other between columns of marble and limestone, their laughter bouncing off painted walls where gods and goddesses dance in eternal celebration. A young boy clutches a wooden toy chariot, its wheels worn smooth by countless journeys across imaginary battlefields. A girl draws figures in the dust with a stick, creating temporary worlds that the wind will soon erase. These children don't know they're living to the last day of childhood for their entire generation. Archaeologists would later find their toys exactly where they dropped them: wooden dolls, bronze figurines, even a child's cradle with a baby skeleton still inside. But here's what's remarkable. Even in those final moments, evidence suggests that parents died trying to shield their children. Love persisted until the very end. In the Forum, merchants arranged their wares beneath striped awnings. Amphorae filled with wine from distant provinces catch the morning light. Bolts of silk from the far reaches of the empire shimmer like captured rainbows. The smell of garum, that pungent fish sauce beloved by Romans, mingles with the sweetness of honey dates and the sharp tang of fresh cheese. Voices haggle and laugh in a dozen languages, creating a tapestry of sound that rises toward the sky where Vesuvius watches, patient and silent. This marketplace represents something extraordinary, a global economy 2,000 years ago that rivals our own. Goods from Britain, spices from India, silks from China, all converging in this single Roman city. The merchants here are part of a trade network that spans 3 continents. Yet in 18 hours, all of it will be buried under 15 feet of ash, the wealth of the known world, reduced to shadows. But here's what's truly fascinating. These people aren't primitive. They have running water, heated floors, fast food restaurants, even advertising. The walls are covered with election posters. Vote for Lucius Papitius Sabinus for Aedile. He'll put on wonderful gladiator games. They have public baths with pools of different temperatures, libraries, theaters that seat 5,000 people. In many ways, their quality of life rivals our own. The wealthy recline in their villas, where painted gardens bloom eternal on plaster walls. Servants pad quietly across mosaic floors depicting dolphins and sea gods, carrying silver trays laden with grapes and wine. In bedchambers adorned with frescoes of lovers and myths, people dream of tomorrow's plans, tomorrow's meetings, tomorrow's embraces. The afternoon light filters through translucent windows, casting dancing shadows that seem to whisper secrets the mountain already knows. Among these wealthy families lives a man we know today as the Villa de Papyri owner, though his name is lost to history. His library contains over 1,800 scrolls, works by philosophers and poets that would otherwise be lost forever. This morning, he's reading Epicurus, the philosopher who taught that the goal of life is happiness and freedom from fear. He has no idea that by evening, his villa will be entombed, and those scrolls will wait 2,000 years to share their wisdom with a world that will desperately need to remember how to live without fear. But even as people go about their ordinary lives, something extraordinary is happening beneath their feet. The mountain's internal pressure is approaching critical mass. In geological terms, Vesuvius is like a champagne bottle that's been shaken for centuries, and the cork is about to blow. But listen more carefully now. Beneath the familiar sounds, something stirs. In the deeper places of the earth, ancient forces shift and wake. The mountain's sleep grows restless. Small tremors ripple through the ground, so subtle that only the most sensitive souls notice. A cup rattles briefly on a table. A bird takes flight without apparent reason. An old woman pauses in her weaving, feeling something she cannot name. What she doesn't realize is that she's feeling the mountain's heartbeat. 17 miles beneath Vesuvius, a massive chamber of molten rock, enough to fill Manhattan's skyscrapers, has been building pressure for over 1,500 years. Every small tremor is the Earth's way of warning. Something unprecedented is coming. The dogs sense it first. They pace uneasily through the streets, whimpering at shadows that hold no threat. Horses stamp their hooves and roll their eyes white. Even the cats, those creatures of mystery and intuition, slink low and seek dark places to hide. But the people notice only in passing. There have been small earthquakes before, just the earth settling, like an old house creaking in the night. This dismissal would prove tragic. Modern volcanologists tell us that the animals were right. They were detecting infrasonic vibrations, sounds too low for human ears, but clear warnings of what was to come. If the people of Pompeii had listened to their animals, tens of thousands of lives might have been saved. Instead, they trusted human logic over animal instinct, a mistake that would cost them everything. At the harbor, the water seems different today. It moves strangely, pulling back from the shore in places, rushing forward in others. Fishermen frown at their nets, finding them empty in waters that should teem with life. The fish have gone deeper, or perhaps swum far away to clearer seas. The very rocks beneath the waves seem to hum with an energy that makes the water restless. What the fishermen are witnessing is the sea floor itself shifting. Tectonic plates grinding against each other with enough force to alter the coastline. The fish haven't just moved, they've fled, driven by primordial instincts that tell them to escape while they can. Nature is screaming warnings, but in a language humans no longer remember how to understand. In the temples, priests pour libations and burn incense to gods who seem distant today. The smoke rises thick and white, then suddenly shifts and swirls in patterns that make the holy men uneasy. They consult their scrolls and offer additional prayers, sensing that the boundary between earth and sky grows thin. The gods are listening, but their faces are turned away. These priests are more right than they know. The temple of Venus Pompeiana, the city's patron goddess, sits directly on the slopes of Vesuvius. For generations, priests have interpreted every tremor, every unusual cloud formation, every bird's flight pattern. They've developed an entire spiritual science around reading the mountain's moods. But never have the signs been this ominous. Never has the goddess seemed so silent. As afternoon melts into evening, the mountain's shadow grows longer, stretching dark fingers across the city. The sunset tonight burns more brilliant than usual, painting Vesuvius in shades of gold and crimson that pulse like a beating heart. Beautiful and ominous, like a fever dream written across the sky. Citizens pause in their evening walks to admire the view. Have you ever seen the mountain look so beautiful? They ask each other. They're witnessing one of nature's cruelest ironies. The gases and particles already beginning to seep from the mountain are creating this spectacular sunset. Beauty and destruction inextricably linked. But here's what makes this moment truly haunting. We know exactly what's happening inside the mountain. Magma is rising through the Earth's crust like mercury in a thermometer. Gas bubbles are forming and expanding. The rock above is fracturing under unimaginable pressure. In approximately 14 hours, it will reach the surface, and when it does, it will explode with the force of 50 atomic bombs. Yet as darkness falls, the people of Pompeii prepare for sleep, utterly unaware that they're living to the final hours of their world. In homes throughout the city, families gather for evening meals. Mothers sing lullabies to children who will never wake. Merchants count the day's earnings and plan tomorrow's ventures. Lovers steal away to hidden gardens to whisper promises about a future that will never come. What they don't know, what they can't know, is that miles above them, the mountain is about to write the most tragic chapter in human history. Night falls soft as velvet, and the city settles into sleep. In countless homes, oil lamps flicker and fade. Mothers kiss children's foreheads and whisper prayers for peaceful dreams. Lovers hold each other close beneath silk covers, planning futures that will exist only in the space between this heartbeat and the next. The old speak of tomorrow's markets, tomorrow's visits, tomorrow's simple joys, words that dissolve into the darkness like honey into warm water. But tonight is different from every other night in Pompeii's 600-year history. Tonight, time is running out in ways that no human can comprehend. Deep beneath their sleeping city, forces that dwarf human understanding are reaching a critical moment. The Earth itself is about to scream. What happens next will be studied by scientists for the next 2,000 years. At approximately 1 o'clock in the morning, we know this in the position of bodies found in beds, the mountain begins to show its true face. Small earthquakes wake some residents. A few nervous souls venture outside to look at the mountain. What they see stops them cold, a strange glow emanating from the peak, like a forged fire flickering in the darkness. The mountain stands black against the stars, no longer patient, no longer sleeping. Deep in its heart, pressures build that have waited centuries for release. The earth itself holds its breath, while above, the city of 40,000 souls rests in perfect innocence. Time moves differently here at the edge of forever. Every moment stretches like amber, golden and eternal, preserving what cannot be saved. Some families wake to the tremors. Parents debate whether to pack their belongings and leave. It's a conversation happening in homes throughout the city. Should they abandon everything they built for what might be nothing more than the earth's restless sleep? Most choose to stay. After all, this is their home. These are their streets, their shops, their temples. Where would they go? How could they leave behind everything that makes them who they are? It's a decision that will haunt us across the centuries. The all-too-human tendency to normalize danger, the hope that this time will be like all the other times when things worked out fine. Psychologists call it optimism bias, the belief that terrible things happen to other people, not to us. It's what makes us human. It's also what makes us vulnerable. But there are dissenters. Pliny the Elder, the famous Roman admiral and naturalist, is staying across the bay. He notices the mountain's strange behavior and begins making notes. Observations that his nephew, Pliny the Younger, will later turn into the first recorded eyewitness account of a volcanic eruption. The elder Pliny is fascinated by what he's seeing. He has no way of knowing that his scientific curiosity will cost him his life. In the gladiator barracks, warriors who have faced death countless times in the arena sense something different about this night. Some pray to their household gods. Others sharpen their weapons, as if steel could somehow protect them from what's coming. In one cell, a gladiator named Celadus, whose name we know from graffiti calling him the heartthrob of the girls, stares out the mountain and feels a chill that has nothing to do with the night air. The wealthy in their villas host dinner parties that will last until dawn, or try to. Wine flows freely, perhaps a little too freely, as if liquid courage could somehow ward off the growing sense of unease. In the house of the Vetii, two brothers who made their fortune in the wine trade discuss expanding their business to Gaul. They have no way of knowing they're planning a future that will never exist. And in the morning, but there will be no morning as they know it. The dawn will come clothed in fire and ash, and the city will be wrapped in a burial shroud of stone and dust. But tonight, love still whispers in darkened rooms. Tonight, children still dream of games and glory. Tonight, bread still cools on wooden shelves, and wine still waits in earthenware jugs for lips that will never taste them. As the hours tick by, the mountain's internal pressure reaches the point of no return. What's about to happen has a name in geology, a Plinian eruption, named after the very Pliny who will witness it. It's the most violent type of volcanic eruption possible, the kind that doesn't just destroy, but obliterates, the kind that can change the course of history. At approximately 6:30 in the morning, the mountains sleep and forever. The explosion can be heard in Rome, 150 miles away. A column of ash and gas rockets 20 miles into the sky at a speed of over 100 miles per hour. The sound is unlike anything the world has ever heard. The earth itself screaming, But the most heartbreaking thing about this moment is what archaeologists would discover 2,000 years later. Evidence that even in these first terrifying moments, people still believed they would survive, still tried to save what mattered most, still held on to hope until the very end. The last peaceful night settles over Pompeii like a benediction, soft and final as a mother's lullaby. In just a few hours, it will be broken by the loudest sound in recorded history. Centuries pass like sighs in the darkness. The city sleeps beneath its blanket of ash, perfectly preserved, perfectly still. Generations live and die above while below. The last day waits in eternal suspension, until finally, patient archaeologists brush away the dust of time with tools as gentle as caresses, and the dead city opens its eyes once more. But what they find challenges every assumption about how people face death. What they discover isn't just tragedy. It's a masterclass in human resilience, love, and extraordinary courage that emerges when everything else is stripped away. Here, in these excavated streets, we find them still. The bread in the ovens, the wine in the cups, the lovers in each other's arms. They are shadows now, imprinted in ash, but shadows that speak of lives fully lived in the space of a single day. A dog lies curled by a doorway, faithful to the end. A child's toy rests where small hands dropped it. A table set for a meal that was never eaten tells stories more eloquent than any epic. The technique that preserves these moments is as beautiful as it is tragic. When the pyroclastic flows, waves of superheated gas and rock traveling at hurricane speeds, swept through the city, they didn't just kill. They created perfect molds of the final moments. Bodies decompose over the centuries, leaving hollow spaces in the hardened ash. When archaeologists pour plaster into these spaces, they reveal the exact positions people were in when they died. What they found changed everything we thought we knew about that day. A family of 4 huddled together in their basement, parents shielding children to the end. A gladiator found still in chains. Not because he was imprisoned, but because he refused to leave his wounded companion. A pregnant woman cradling her belly, her face turned skyward as if praying for her unborn child. A guard dog still at his post, loyal until his last breath. But perhaps most remarkable of all is what they found in the Villa of the Papyri. When Mount Vesuvius erupted, the owner of this villa could have fled immediately. Instead, he went back, again and again. The evidence is clear. He saved his most precious scrolls first, then returned for more. He died trying to rescue the works of philosophers and poets, knowing somehow that these ideas were too important to lose. We know this because his body was found in the villa's corridor, clutching a scroll case. Inside were the works of Epicurus, the philosopher who taught that the only rational response to life's uncertainty is to live fully in each moment, to find joy in simple pleasures, to love deeply despite knowing that everything ends. In his final moments, this unknown Roman was living that philosophy. But here's what makes these discoveries even more profound. The people of Pompeii teach us something extraordinary about how to face the unthinkable. They didn't know they were about to die. But when death came, they faced it with a grace that spans the centuries. They chose love over fear. They chose protection over preservation. They chose each other over themselves. In the House of the Golden Bracelet, archaeologists found something that brought them to tears. A woman's skeleton wearing gold jewelry worth a fortune, but her arms wrapped around the skeleton of a child who clearly wasn't hers. Different bone structure, different age at death. In her final moments, this wealthy woman chose to comfort a stranger's child rather than flee with her riches. The bracelet that gave the house its name was still on her wrist, but her true treasure was the child she held. Modern forensic analysis reveals even more stunning details. Many of the victims show evidence of having helped others before succumbing themselves. Parents who threw their bodies over children. Adults who carried elderly neighbors on their backs. Even pet owners who died trying to free their animals from chains. The ash preserved not just their bodies, but their choices. And those choices reveal something beautiful about the human spirit. The graffiti on Pompeii's walls, preserved perfectly by the ash, offers one final gift to the future. Scratched into walls throughout the city are messages that now read like letters from the dead. Whoever loves, let him flourish. Let him perish who knows not love. Let him perish twice over whoever forbids love. I made bread and ate well. Successus loves Iris. Health to you, Victoria, and wherever you are may you sneeze sweetly. These aren't the words of people consumed by fear or despair. They're the words of people who understood that love, not wealth, not power, not even survival, is what makes life worth living. They understood something we sometimes forget, that the meaning of our lives isn't measured in years, but in moments. Not in what we accomplish, but in how deeply we connect. In their silence, they teach us the precious weight of ordinary moments, the warmth of sunlight on skin, the taste of bread shared with friends, the sound of laughter echoing off ancient stones. They remind us that every dawn is a gift, every sunset a masterpiece painted across the temporary canvas of our days. They show us that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing love in the presence of fear. The mountain stands quiet now, its fire banked but not extinguished. It waits as it has always waited, patient as eternity, while visitors walk the streets where shadows of the past still dance in Mediterranean light. Scientists monitor it constantly now, knowing that Vesuvius will erupt again. The only questions are when and how powerful it will be. But that uncertainty doesn't make the experience less meaningful. It makes it more so. The people of Pompeii teach us that life's fragility isn't a reason for despair, but for deeper appreciation. They show us that when everything else is stripped away, wealth, status, plans for the future, what remains is our capacity to love, to protect, to sacrifice for others, to find meaning in the smallest gestures. And sometimes, if you listen closely to the wind moving through the ruins, you can hear them still, the voices of that last, perfect, terrible day, whispering their stories to anyone willing to remember that all our tomorrows are as fragile and precious as morning dew. They remind us that we are all living in the shadow of our own Vesuvius, our own uncertain future. The question isn't whether our world will end. Everything ends. The question is how we choose to live while we're here. Rest now, people of Pompeii. Your day was brief but eternal, ordinary yet magnificent. In your preservation, you have given the gift of remembrance to a world that too easily forgets. You've shown us that the most powerful force in the universe isn't the mountain's fire. It's the human heart's capacity to love until the very end. Sleep well in your city of shadows, where time stopped for love, and love stopped for no one. Your final day teaches us how to live all of our days. Not with the certainty of tomorrow, but with the richness of today. Not with the promise of forever, but with the gift of this moment. Not with the fear of ending, but with the courage to love completely while we can. In the end, you've given us the most precious lesson of all, that a single day lived with awareness, with love, with full presence of the beauty around us, is worth more than 1,000 years lived in fear. Thank you, people of Pompeii, for showing us how to live. And thank you for showing us how to love, even when, especially when, time is running out.